Given class event, which we are now importing into this module, we are now going to complete the definition for the day class, according to the docstring for each method, and filling in examples when they need to be filled in. So to start, we will initialize a new day object, the same way we did with the event, which is going to have a day value, which is going to be assigned to the day parameter. It's going to have a month instance variable, which will be assigned to the month parameter. And it's going to have a year instance variable, which will be assigned to the year parameter. There are no more parameters to assign to anything in this initializer. But in our example, there is also an instance variable called events, which looks like it is an empty list. So we are going to initialize events to be an empty list. This is going to be the place where events that are supposed to happen that day are stored. Then we have the schedule event method, which is supposed to take an event that's already been created, this is an event object, and schedule it on this day by adding it to the self.events list. The example is complete, so let's just take the event and schedule it. I'm going to put the event in my events list by appending it like so, and the event is new event, the parameter that we received when this method was called. The string method for the day class is a little bit more complicated. We will need a string composed of multiple lines, and we will print the day's date first, followed by all the events scheduled for that day. I'm going to create a variable called return string, which will initially contain this day's day, month, and year, arranged like so. The first one is a decimal integer, the second one is a string, and the third one is a decimal integer. Finally, we'll have a colon. And because I'd like to add multiple lines to the end of this, I'm going to add a new line character to the end of the return string. Then, for every event that's scheduled to run that day, I need to be able to print that event. This should tell you that there should be a loop here for, let's call it E, for every event in my list of events. I'm going to append a new string to return string. That string is going to be a dash, followed by the string representation of the event object, followed by a new line character. And the only gap we need to fill here is add E to the mix. Putting :s in the template means that when I read E, I'm going to try to convert it to a string, which we'll call the string method for E, and then I will get what I want to get. So I will build up return string in this way, adding dash, an event, and new line for as many events as I have, and then finally, when I'm done, I'm going to return string. Actually, if you notice, adding \n to the end of the strings means that I have an extra new line at the end of the string that I don't necessarily want. So I'm actually going to move the \n to be at the beginning of each of these lines and take it out from the end. This way, a return string for a day with no events will have no new line at the end of it, which is what we'd like to have. And a return string for a day with events in it will have only as many lines as there are events there. Finally, we have some code to write in the main block of the day class. First thing we need to do is create a day. So let's call it day. And we're going to give it 5, April, and 2014 as arguments. Then I'm going to add an event called sleep-in. And then I can create a new event inside the call to schedule event. Like that. I can, of course, do this in 2 separate lines by creating an event first and then scheduling that event, but this will also work. I'd like to add an event brunch. Let's do it the other way this time. Brunch equals event.event. Notice that we're prefixing the class event with the module event because we need to know which module to get the class from. It's from 11 to 1, and it's called brunch. Like that, and then we're going to schedule the brunch event on day D, which is the 5th of April. Finally, I'm going to print the day D. And that, because I'm using the string method for D, will also print all of its events.